Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Waynesboro at Work, a podcast where we interview entrepreneurs and business leaders to learn about the origin stories of their businesses, where the passion for their work comes from, and a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host, Brooke Anderson, and I'm joined today by Amanda Stone and Ray Murray, who are the owners of the Tubular Toy Box in Waynesboro, Virginia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So, for people that might not know what the Tubular Toy Box is all about, tell me a little bit about what makes your business and your products a little bit different than what we might find at a regular toy store.
Well, we actually specialize in vintage toys. So most of our things are pre-loved, is what we like to call them. And they do span back. We've got things back from the 70s all the way up to today. We have a little bit for everyone.
Awesome. And so it sounds like a great place where parents can come and bring their kids. Parents are recognizing toys they, played with during their childhood, and then are able to introduce their kids to some things they might not have seen before, or that have, had new iterations. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. We get those comments all the time. It's a nostalgic throwback for people our age, but then also the kids, there's things for the younger kids to relate to as well.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a really fun business. Tell me how you guys got started. Like, what was the evolution? When did the idea come to mind? And how did you get to the point where you now have a brick and mortar store in Waynesboro?
So it started with Amanda wanting to, she made candles and sold candles. And she wanted to try to put those in a retail setting. So we ended up renting a small space it was basically like an antique style mall.
Okay.
Called the Shops on 340 in Grottos. And we started out with her candles, and I had some old action figures that I had, and since it was like an antique style mall that she was selling in, I figured I'd throw some of my stuff in our space too. And they started selling pretty well, and we talked with the owners of the place, and they were like, yeah, toys are pretty popular. So we started bringing toys into there, and then the next thing you know, the candles kind of moved out of our space.
Yeah.
and it became all toys there. And then she wanted to give an actual store a shot. So we moved out from the Shops on 340 and moved into a small place here downtown. And then
that was back in 2019.
That was before COVID.
Yeah.
And our space was very small.
Like less than 400 square feet.
Yeah, it was
wow.
a very small retail space. So when COVID came, it was kind of hard to keep that open. So we shut down for a while. And in the meantime, she found our current location and talked with the owner of the building and worked out a plan to get us moved into this spot, which was much bigger, and we were able to reopen during COVID. And we've been open now for over a year here at the new location. So.
Wow. Okay. So quite kind of an evolution there. And you bring up COVID, and wow, so many business owners were sort of in this position of having to pivot, sort of unexpectedly. What was it like, especially being, a pretty new business, trying to get that retail space going, and then suddenly you're hit with something that was, extremely hard to predict. And then, kind of minute by minute, things were changing with the lockdown and all of that. What was that like for you as new, entrepreneurs?
Well, we did unfortunately close. However, I had the idea because it was like right before Easter. I figured I would make Easter bundles, unique one-of-a-kind Easter bundles with items that we had in shop, and I would advertise it. Which I got a really good response. And it was like no contact. I would arrange everything. I'd walk it out to people's vehicles. I even delivered to people. So that got us by a little bit, which we still do the bundles to this day. It's just different now. But and we were lucky enough to obtain, I know that Waynesboro downtown economic development. They provided some grant funding that we applied for, and that helped us as well. So we did have some assistance to help us through, especially when there was no income coming in to help us make rent and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, you hit on two really important points that I've heard from other entrepreneurs as well, which is finding something that you did during the pandemic that you actually carry through now, now that there's some relief from the pandemic. So the Easter baskets sound like a great thing that sort of came from that. And then also just the support of the community that you're in during such a trying time. Why did you feel like Waynesboro was the right place to have your business?
Well, literally, we live about 5 minutes away. I was born here. I obviously didn't venture very far. And driving to Grottoes was like a 25-minute drive, and I really saw the potential of, we don't have anything like this in Waynesboro. Well, really, we don't have any vintage toy stores, without going to like the antique mall or anything like that. So I figured it may be worth giving it a shot. We were able to get a small space at a reasonable price to give it a go. And we're only open on the weekends, so we're still trucking along in a larger space. So hopefully one day.
Awesome. So when you talk about vintage toys specifically, give us some examples of the kinds of things people can expect to see when they come in.
Probably the biggest things for us is the 80s toys. I think the 80s is very nostalgic right now, and everybody our age is getting into collecting and starting to buy back the toys they had when they were kids, whether they have kids of their own that they want to play with now, or they're just trying to buy back the stuff they had just for the memories. I think collectibles and toys are really taking off. And so I think the 80s toys are really big. Things like G.I. Joe, He-Man, the Ninja Turtles, Transformers, My Little Pony. A lot of the like Polly Pocket's really popular with a lot of people. Care Bears, boy and girl stuff is really popular. And surprisingly, I think the girl collectability really surprised me when we opened the store, because I expected, the guys are really into toys and they'll be buying the G.I. Joes and stuff like that. But it's kind of blown me away as we went how many women and girls are into collecting the toys they had when they were a kid. Also, I've been very surprised by that, and I think it helps because both of us know each side of that. So
yeah, we're a team.
So
Girls
it definitely
and
helps.
boys.
I can pick out the guy stuff and know what's popular, what's valuable, and she's on the girl stuff. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah, awesome. I know that you named a few things that I was very familiar with. I was a Care Bear collector at one point in my life, so I feel you on that one. So you mentioned that you guys are a team. What is it like being in business with your significant other?
It's fun. Like before we, started the little shop space and stuff like that, we enjoy going out and buying things from our childhood. So it really was a spawn from an interest. Like, and now when we go out, like we can't go on vacation without doing it. Like it consumes our life. So it's good that we enjoy it, and it's something that we obviously we're together all the time. So, we do that together. So it works.
It's kind of like a treasure hunt a lot of times when we go on vacations, because half the time is our vacation, the other half is trying to find good things to sell in the store, things we're looking for, or really good deals on rare items that we're trying to get in the store. So
it must be like pretty thrilling, like when you find that thing you've been looking for, like something unexpected. Yeah, like the thrill of the chase.
It's almost like a toy American Pickers kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the times where we're going around just hunting for stuff and come across things that we've been looking for, or things to bring in the shop, or things that our customers have asked us to try to locate for them, things like that. So.
Okay, so you bring up another interesting point. So people can, if they come in and they're kind of looking for something specific and you don't have it, sort of let you know what they're looking for, and you can keep an eye out for them, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I created a little dry erase board. So I
Okay.
have things when people, ask, oh, I'm like, no, but I can put it on the board, and if we go out of town, I'll take a picture of it. I've done that before just so that we can keep in mind of what
Gotcha.
people are interested in.
Now, if people have toys that they are wanting to sell, can they also contact you and say, hey, I have some items. Are you interested in looking at them? Or how does that work?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we typically, if people bring stuff in, we'll take a look at it there. Or a lot of times people walk in not realizing that we buy stuff and ask us about that. Usually we'll tell them, instead of dragging all the stuff down there first, take pictures of it at home, send it to us on Facebook through Messenger, and we can give you an idea of what we would be interested in buying,
Mhm.
things like that. But yeah, we do buy, sell, and trade.
Mhm.
We're willing to trade things too. So sometimes we have kids that'll bring in their old toys and want to swap it out for new stuff. So we do things like that as well.
Awesome. So everybody that's getting ready, once we can get out of this cold snap, getting ready to do their spring cleaning, if you have old toys,
Oh
head over
yeah.
Yeah,
to these guys
yeah,
and see
Yeah,
if
clean
they're
the
interested.
attic and bring it to us.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. So, it's one thing to have an idea of, hey, I want to start a business, or, I have a passion for something and I want to try to turn it into a business. It's another thing to actually follow through and do that. So, what do you think was your real motivating factor to bring your idea and make it a reality?
Well, I'm determined. I was determined at one point to have my own business. Like we both work full time. So I want it to be a goal that I can run my own business full time as well. It's just right now, it's just a part-time venture for us since we still have to pay our bills. But I actually was part of the Grow Waynesboro back in 2018, the Grow
Okay.
Waynesboro competition. I was one of the 8 finalists. I did pitch the River City Makers Market that I wanted to bring downtown, which was like a eclectic mix of like artisans and stuff like that. Well, that didn't pan out, and so I mean, I also used to coordinate vendor events. I'm really driven about doing things, I guess, in the community, and of course making my candles. I had a following of that. So I knew that I wanted to have my own business. It just surprisingly took a turn and it fell into the lap of toys. So
Right. Well, I think there are good nuggets there. Like, one, it's encouraging to meet entrepreneurs who are, like you said, you're working your full-time job while right now this is sort of the side hustle, part-time thing that you're doing. I think a lot of times people think, oh, I need to make a choice of either or, and that can feel very scary. And then they don't end up making the leap. But your story is proof positive that you can kind of start on this passion project and something that you hope to be full time at some
mhm.
point in the future. So that's awesome. That's a great example for people out there. And then the other thing that I really love about what you said is, you know, being able to pivot. Like, you might have an idea of, hey, I want to sell candles in this booth, but then you
Mhm.
realize, like, oh, wait, the toys are selling much more than the candles. So we're going to like pivot towards that. I think sometimes it can be easy to get kind of stuck and fixated on one idea and one way that things have to be. But a lot of successful entrepreneurs I've talked with are able to pivot in that manner. It sounds like that really played a role in what you guys did too.
It did.
Yeah. So you say that you're very determined and clearly you're very engaged in the community. Where did your entrepreneurial spirit sort of stem from? Like, were you kids that had lemonade stands? Were you mowing lawns? Where was the first time you sort of saw that entrepreneurial spark?
Well, lemonade stands were always fun.
Yes.
But I actually was a Girl Scout. So
Okay.
I was very involved in the community with one of our troop leader was very much someone that um, exposed us to a lot of things. So running the cookie booths with cookie sales and stuff like that. It's just, I really do think it's spun from some of my experiences, just being a Girl Scout,
Right.
for me. So it helped in that sense.
Awesome. What about you, Ray?
I gotta be honest, the business aspect of it was all because of her.
Yeah.
I honestly, at the beginning of this, I really didn't think that we would be able to have a sustainable toy store in Waynesboro, and
Okay.
we would, be able to support everything with it. But she's proven me wrong over and over again with her business plan. So
tries to be the voice of reason. I'm the dream chaser.
Yes.
She's making it work. So
awesome. Well, we kind of call that, like, usually if there's a pair of people doing something, you have like the visionary, and then you have like the integrator, and the integrator is often the voice of reason, and the visionary is sort of dreaming big. But together, man, you can do such wonderful things. So there are a lot of people that will be seeing this and listening to this and reading your story that also have an idea in mind of something that they're interested in doing for a business. What advice would you have for people that are just kind of starting out?
First, start small. You don't have to jump into anything super big. Like, when I started making my candles back in 2006, I would just go around to local craft shows and stuff like that. And then, I decided after years, I did want to try to have them presented in a retail setting. So I did then partnered with some of the local businesses with in Stanton and here, just to get some exposure. And then, of course, that led us to the shops on 340 in Grottos. And then it was like we took the bite of, oh, maybe toys do well there, after talking to the guys that ran it and stuff. And then when I decided I wanted a retail space, like, you couldn't get any smaller than the space that we attempted to rent. But you got to make sure you start out small and give yourself the potential to grow. I do not suggest jumping in head first into some massive like storefront or just with
and it takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
dedication.
Doing the toys, and we've slowly built up a customer base, and we do have people that travel from all over the state that come here. But it's taken time to build up that, and she does a lot of work on Facebook and pushing the business out there and presenting us online, and I think that helps a lot too. But I mean, we still get people that live in Waynesboro that come in every weekend and they go, "We didn't know this place was here." And it's surprising, but that if you don't get it out there, and people just don't realize that your business is there, that you could have something right on Main Street and people will still drive by it every day and not realize it's there until, so it does take time to build the customers and get the community to realize what you are and where you are.
Right. Yeah, I think that's very solid advice, and actually very encouraging advice, because I think sometimes, we can sort of have this impression that we are kind of in this hustle culture and everything needs to be big and flashy and like all this stuff. But for like so many people, that's not actually practical. And there's like more than one way to go about, starting a business if that's what you want to do. So I really love that practical advice. So you say that people come from all over the state of Virginia. How far have you actually traveled to get some of the products that you have and some of the toys that you have in the store?
I mean, we vacation, like the farthest that we vacation is Florida. I mean, and we'll go on hunts.
Carloads of stuff from Florida. Go on vacation to bring back here. But
wow, okay.
I've actually traveled just to pick up items. I've traveled up to like Northern Virginia just to go get certain things that I've found online,
right?
To bring back here for the store. But yeah, I mean, I'll travel all over the state depending on what I can find and how good of a deal it is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
With this kind of stuff, you always have to be looking for it because
Yeah.
you never know what somebody's going to post online on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. And believe it or not, the toy stuff, if it gets posted at a good deal, it is gone instantly.
Yes.
So you have to stay on top of those things because there's quite a good following around in this area too for toy collectors and people that are buying collectibles to resell online or in the area. So it's kind of competitive, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That it is, but it is kind of competitive trying to get a hold of the cool stuff.
Yeah. So is there like sort of one toy that you have in mind that would be sort of like the golden egg that you've been looking for a while?
We actually have came across a lot of really rare toys from all the different toy lines while
Okay.
we've been buying stuff. But I think the biggest story is probably the GI Joe collection from the 1980s. They made a GI Joe scaled aircraft carrier. So this thing is literally almost 8 feet long, and it's a toy.
Wow.
It came out in '86, I think, and it's probably I think it's probably is the biggest toy ever made. I never got one as a kid, and I've been looking for one my whole life. And when we started the store, I told her, if I can find one to buy and put on display in the store, if I can get one at a good deal, because these things sell for thousands of dollars.
Right.
And I said, if I can get one at a good deal, I'm definitely going to get one to put in the store and display. And I've come across a few, but they're very high priced. And when was it?
It was
last summer, probably somewhere in there.
Last fall.
Last fall. We were shopping at an antique mall in Richmond, in the Short Pump area, and I walked in, and right behind the register there was the aircraft carrier. It was in pieces behind the register. So I asked the cashier, and she was like, "I'm not really sure. Someone just brought it in. I don't know if it's for sale. I could check on it for you." I was like, "Okay." Well, some older gentleman that was in there overheard me say that, and he just walked up to me, just perfect timing, and he was like, "Do you want one of those GI Joe aircraft carriers?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I live like 5 minutes down the road." He's like, "My kids don't want none of their old toys." He's like, "If you come with me, you can have it." So I was like, "Are you serious?" So I followed him to his house. I still didn't believe it. I was like, maybe he's mistaken. It's something different. But sure enough, we get to his house. We walk up in the attic, and it was sitting right there, still in the box, up in the attic. And so we ended up finding that. That's probably the biggest thing,
Wow.
I think, for the store. And it's on display in the store, and people love to see it. And it surprises a lot of people how big they actually made toys back in the 80s.
That is a really cool story. So you didn't get it as a little kid, but you got it as a big kid.
Yep, I won that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll never sell it. It'll sit in the store.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Definitely not giving that one up for sure. So where did the name Tubular Toy Box come from? Who thought of that?
It was me.
Okay.
Obviously toys. I really wanted to have like the 80s feel to it.
Yes.
So obviously tubular and toys. So
Yeah.
I just thought we're just this huge toy box, really. So we're just the Tubular Toy Box.
All right, that's what I was suspecting, but I wanted to make sure because I knew that was like kind of the 80s slang. So I just wanted to make sure that's what it was. Well, awesome.
Yeah, most people kind of add their own thing to it, and they're like, the totally tubular toy box.
Yeah, a lot of people when
they know where it's coming from, but they'll add totally to it a lot of times on their own.
Right. That's funny. So, in this digital age where people are shopping so much, online, what is special about coming like actually into a brick and mortar store? Why would you encourage people to do that versus just trying to find these things online?
I think for us, because of the products that we carry, you can't walk in Walmart or Target. I mean, you can look at it from a perspective of, oh, I can go on eBay or Etsy and maybe pick things up. But then you're also going to be paying eBay prices with the shipping and stuff like that. It's more of the thrill of the hunt, I think, for a lot of collectors to be able to walk in and pick up something tangible right then and evaluate it instead of buying something online that you don't know how it will be received, or if the description is truly exactly what it was stating it was. So I really do feel like, which is why we don't have an online presence, other than sometimes I'll post ads on Marketplace.
Okay.
To kind of draw some business and whatnot, but we do not have an online storefront. We are truly just, if you like what we have, you'll have to visit. We have occasionally shipped, especially if somebody has been, we get a lot of tourists that will pass through the area, and then like I think we shipped this like huge monster high, I think it was like 2 feet, a 2-foot tall doll that somebody had visited the area, came in, saw it, and decided when they got all the way back to Minnesota that they had to have it. And so we did end up quoting them the price. Did we end up shipping that to them? I think finally they've just made another trip.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
of how big it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we will consider shipping, obviously.
Yeah, we've sold a few of the really high end things.
Oh yeah, and
Posted ads
shipped
on
it out.
Marketplace,
Mhm.
and people have bought it from other states, and we've
Right.
shipped those. We're not against shipping. It's just we don't want to make that our full business. And I think from a collector standpoint, there's something about going into a store and actually finding that item that you've been looking for, and having found it yourself. I think it makes it a little more of a sentimental value to it when you
Yeah.
actually go and you seek it out and you find it yourself, versus you can pretty much just click on anything on eBay and buy what you want if you want to pay that price for it. So I
Right.
think there's something about actually finding it in person, and that's kind of why we like to have it more of a just a retail brick and mortar store.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is something special about, kind of finding it, and then, the experience of going and browsing, and maybe you see something you didn't even think about. I read somewhere that sometimes people think you're even like a toy museum.
It seems like it sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, is this stuff for sale?" Well, like, yep, if you want to buy it.
Yeah, we've even joked about like charging $1 admission for people to
Yeah.
look around, because a lot of people, the whole families will come in here and they'll start looking around, and adult brothers and sisters will be like, "Hey, you remember we had that, or we have that?"
Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of like a toy museum too.
Awesome. I love that. So you're open certain hours and you're in certain places online. So how can everybody find you, find the store and when that's open? And then also, how can people find you online?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram at Tubular Toy Box VA. I had to think about that for a second. And we're also on Google, so anybody can do a Google search and get our current address and stuff like that. And of course we have an email. Anybody could email us at the Tubular Toy Box at AOL.com for any type of inquiries or questions or whatnot.
And Facebook Messenger.
Yeah,
that's how a lot of people contact us,
Mhm.
whether they have things to sell or they have questions about what we might have or when our hours are.
Gotcha.
And she's really good about keeping Facebook updated on.
Yeah.
Just because we really don't have any spare time, days that we take off when we are planning on being open, she'll update the Facebook page early on or the day before to make sure it's known that we're going to be closing early, or we'll be closed that weekend or whatever, so that people don't, travel here and realize we're closed. So she does really good about keeping the store page updated.
Great. So everybody that is tuning in, make sure you check that Facebook page for all the updated hours and everything like that. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you think it's important for people to know about the Tubular Toy Box, or advice you have for entrepreneurs?
I mean, from an entrepreneur standpoint, go for it if you really want to. I mean, you're never going to know until you try.
Make sure you pick something you enjoy.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Because that would make all the difference. I think if it was something else, that I didn't enjoy working at, but I don't think I would have put this much effort into it. But because it's fun, it's not so much a job. But definitely make sure you pick something that you enjoy doing or something that you're passionate about. and make that your business venture.
Awesome. Well, that is excellent advice, Amanda and Ray. It's been such a nice time talking with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And anybody that is listening, make sure you check back regularly for new episodes of Waynesboro at Work. If you want to learn more about Waynesboro businesses, you can visit waynesborobusiness.com or growwaynesboro.com. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on the Visit Waynesboro YouTube channel and Waynesboro at Work on Spotify. Until next time, take care and be well.